you have me this morning. As you are most likely aware, the speaker is not available this morning, and she has sent her apologies with a few members and staff with her. And maybe I must just say that out, that Honorable Buroto is with her and Honorable Frolik are with her. And so is Mr. Traso. Otherwise, let's hear any other apologies. No apologies. Let's proceed to look at the agenda. I guess the agenda is okay. We take for granted the agenda is okay as it stands. Okay, thank you. Put up the minutes that so that we can look at the minutes.
Deputy Speaker, my apologies. I was trying to unmute. I failed this much. There are further apologies from Mr. Heron, Dr. Lotrit, Mr. Singh, and the House Chairpersons, Buroto and Frolik.
Okay.
My apologies.
It's all right, okay. Yeah, no, we understand capacity for managing hiccups on technology needs ongoing attention. Any correction on the minutes? Let's proceed. Let's go through them. Next section.
Chairperson,
Yes.
it's Dr. Lotrit.
Yes, ma'am.
I am in fact online, yes.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, honorable members, please make corrections as we go along the minutes. We assume you looked at the minutes, skim them through as we do so now, so that you make any corrections you want to. I have received no indication that there is any correction that needs to be made. If there's any that we will capture later, we will make that correction, but otherwise, any proposer for the minutes?
Honorable Deputy Speaker, I propose the adoption of the minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Ntombela. Any seconder to Honorable
Honorable DS, my hand was up. It's just that I'm not used to talk without being recognized. I support the adoption.
Thank you very much, Chief Whip, from wherever you are. Thank you very much for supporting the correction of the minutes are correct reflection of the last meeting. Let's go to the next item on the agenda. Matters arising. Honorable Kurnov, you got news for us on the electoral bill?
Deputy Speaker, the presidency received the electoral amendment bill on the 28th of February. I will wait for the Advocate van der Merwe to give feedback on the constitutionally related bills. But at this stage, I can say that we've received a number of objections to the bill in the presidency. The President is busy to process and to consider then the legality of the bill and the constitutionality of the bill. We regard it as a very urgent and a priority bill, and will be speeding up the process to make a decision on it. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, there are implications, but we'll talk about that at appropriate times. Yeah. Okay, and I believe there are questions related to the National Gambling Amendment Bill. Any indication of that? These are matters arising.
Honorable DS, may I?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Honorable DS. Yes, Honorable DS, I just want indications that by the 28th, we're done with the bill as Parliament, as per the Concord ruling. Now that the bill is not as yet signed because of what Dr. Korenov is saying, that there are a lot of objections, are we not going to be found to be in contempt of court that on the basics that it has not yet signed? What is the legal standing now? If I may be assisted by the legal unit. Thank you.
Okay, legal, are you able to advise us?
Good morning, Deputy Speaker, and good morning, members. The Constitutional Court order is, I think, a bit vague in the sense that it simply asked Parliament to correct the defect by the 28th of February. So Parliament has done what it can do. Parliament cannot force the presidency to sign. The presidency's assent is a further step in the process of checks and balances when it comes to legislation. So if the court's order read the executive, Parliament, and the presidency must correct the defect by 28 February, that would have been something different, because then as a collective, there would have been a responsibility. But the order only says Parliament must correct by 28 February. And like I say, Parliament has done what it can do before the 28th of February. The bill was passed by the 23rd of February, in fact. So at this point in time, I do not see the court finding Parliament in contempt. Parliament has done what it is required to do by the Constitution.
Yes, the implications, if there are any, will be on the quality of preparations by the IEC. And it did warn us that these preparations are crucial. If they are too brief, it will compromise the work that needs to be done. Let's hope the presidency operates quickly so that if there are corrections that needs to be done, they are done urgently. Thank you. All right, any other?
Yes, Honorable Chair.
Yes.
Deputy Speaker, it's Honorable Hendricks. My hand was up.
Go
Do I
ahead.
have permission to speak?
Hanif.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much and welcome back, Deputy Speaker. It's nice to see you. We missed you. Deputy Speaker, from what the legal department has said, shouldn't we tell the IEC to proceed in terms of the existing act? Because it is quite clear that, the objections, the delays, we are not going to meet the deadlines of the Constitutional Court. But I think we have met the deadline of the Constitutional Court in that Parliament has done its work. There's nothing else we can do. So I have attended one-on-one meetings with IEC leaders. They invited political party leaders for one-on-ones, and they make it quite clear that already they won't be able to conduct free and fair elections because of the delays. So even if the presidency in a month's time supports the amendments, the IEC is already under the stress. So for the IEC to hold back now and not do anything, I think, Parliament needs to tell the IEC, please proceed in terms of the existing bill so that we can have free and fair elections. And then, unfortunately, the amendments have to wait for the next Parliament. But I don't think we can keep the IEC in suspense. We need to say, look, we've done our work. It hasn't been signed by the president yet. But you go ahead in terms of the existing act. That's just my suggestion, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much. That's your view, sir. Let's hear what other members are suggesting. Any comments?
Deputy Speaker.
Deputy Speaker.
Kwankwa's hand is up.
Sheikh Imam's hand up as well, Chair. Deputy
Please go ahead, Honorable Imam.
I don't know who said Kwankwa. I think I'm honorable in the context of this meeting. Yes, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, I think I was actually going to say exactly what the lady from the legal division said. I mean, in terms of the obligation that was put on us by the Constitutional Court, we've met it as Parliament. And even at the time when the Court delivered the judgment, they understood that there are different arms of the state. And when they gave one arm of the state a deadline, that did not naturally and automatically extend as a deadline to another arm of the state. And the president obviously is aware of these dynamics and the importance and the urgency of this matter. So let's wait for that process to run its course, because we have played our part and done what we could do in the limited period in the time we had. And if there are any other corrections or issues that are raised, we'll do what parliaments do around the world. We'll have to attend to whatever concerns the president has. And
Okay.
it will not be to blame for those deadlines if they occur.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Honorable Wahube, and then it will be you, Honorable Sheikh.
Yeah, I think I'm largely covered by legal and Honorable Gwangwa, Deputy Speaker. I mean, Parliament has discharged of its responsibilities. In the process now, the matter sits with the presidency, and all other constitutional concerns will be going to and being dealt with the presidency. I think in terms of what we were legally obliged to do, we've discharged of those responsibilities. We will then be guided by how the process proceeds, and if there are legal concerns and there are legal challenges, we will then have to make a call at that point. But I think we as Parliament have done our job, and we've discharged of our responsibilities in this regard. Thanks.
Thank you. Honorable Sheikh Imam.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Speaker. Is it not correct that when the Concord says Parliament, it refers to the president of the country who's a member of Parliament, the leader of Parliament? Does it not include the president?
No,
I mean,
sir.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the Concord needed. Yeah.
We can tell you that, sir. That no, it does not include the president resigns from Parliament once you elect him as the president of the country, so he's not a member. They would have had to be very explicit. There's no question about it.
But yeah, I understand that, Deputy Speaker. What I'm trying to get at is that when the Concord says Parliament, are they not, in a nutshell, are they not asking for this matter to be dealt with in its entirety with all the relevant stakeholders, including the president? I just want to be guided by legal on that. So we're not found, found.
Okay, you want to hear it from legal? We'll ask them to do so. Yes, go ahead, legal. Help Honorable Sheikh Imam.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. No, I think when we, because one thing that Parliament is actually struggling with is that the executive is not mentioned in that order as well. And when the court says Parliament, it is a whole interpretation of the Constitution as that the Parliament is the national legislature, and what we're talking about is the correction of legislation. And who is responsible for that? The national legislature, Parliament. And that is why the word Parliament is used in these orders. Of course, I do think that the court should say executive, Parliament, and the presidency, because then we would not have this uncertainty. But I do not think that we can accept that when the court says Parliament, that it also includes the presidency. As Deputy Speaker has indicated, the court would have had to be very clear in that regard. The wording used as Parliament is simply for the national legislature, and I think that is maybe something that the Constitutional Court might want to reconsider. But at this point in time, the order says Parliament. That means Parliament must pass this bill through both houses through a proper process, and then the next step for Parliament is to send it to the President for assent. That is then a new process in the legislative development, because there are further checks and balances. The Presidency can send the bill back to Parliament. The Presidency can refer the bill to the Constitutional Court. It's a whole new process. And I don't think that that is what is envisaged in the Constitutional Court order. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah. Honorable Papu. Honorable Papu, you mute.
Is that me, Deputy Speaker?
Yes, sir.
Deputy Speaker, you normally work with the presiding officers needs to interact with the IEC, so that it's not like the IEC met individual parties. Now that the two houses have passed, just to check with them the issue Mr. Hendricks has spoken about, so that it's an official matter, because we're in an official meeting of the NAPC. It can be one member informing us in terms of them indicating what is the situation with them, so that it's an official report which they actually give. It can be one of the parties for informing us. That's the issue I wanted to check. Meanwhile, at the same time, we hope that hopefully once those things have been clarified, the matter will be sorted out. But the proposal is that at least the two house, yes, just to check whether how are their timelines have been affected, so that we can make a statement like officially in this meeting that they are going to be badly affected when the presiding officers, both in the NA and the NCOP, would not have.
Yeah, okay. No. We hear you say we will confirm that. Yeah. Let's hear Dr. Mashangu. You have your hand up. What's the reason?
Deputy Speaker, there was also a matter that arises from the minutes regarding the National Gambling Amendment Bill.
Yes.
There was a question asked whether there's any work being done. Mr. Kaso, I think in the last minute, in the last meeting, indicated that consultations are going on between the NCOP and the NA, because the resolution must be passed by both houses. So there is work that is still being done. The secretaries of the houses are running with the matter.
Okay.
Thank you.
And why don't you proceed and talk to the question of the defense minister and the arrangement? But members are now aware that she came yesterday and responded to questions as scheduled.
Yes, indeed. She came, she responded. Yes. And
the next question is the scheduling of the motion on the establishment of an ad hoc committee. What's the story there?
The ad hoc committee, I think Deputy Speaker is referring to the Pala issue.
Yes.
With due respect, Deputy Speaker, I request that we deal with the matter when we get to the program.
Okay.
I think there is some progress there as well.
Yeah, okay. In other words, that it's a programming matter, so we are matched there. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, let's do that later then. Okay. Let's go to the next item on the agenda. Thank you.
Sorry,
yes, Honorable Gwahuga.
Are we done with matters arising, Deputy Speaker?
You didn't introduce any new one, so I was moving to the next item.
I thought we were going to deal with the matter of the SABC board. The speaker did commit to giving feedback on that issue. And I think that there's been some developments this week, which we definitely need to hear from Parliament about.
Yes, what are the developments? Brief us. Who has the information on that matter of the gambling board? Mashangu, do you have any information there?
The matter I'm particularly referring to, Deputy Speaker, is that the Speaker had given us a briefing to say that the President had sent back the names of the SABC board.
I remember that, ma'am. What I'm asking the officials to do is to tell us whether there are any new developments relating to that matter.
I think, the Deputy Speaker, the legal services can assist us, legal services and committees.
Yeah.
They are on the platform.
Okay.
With your permission, Deputy Speaker.
Okay. No, go ahead, legal services, if you have information on the matter. We just want an update as indicated to us previously by the Speaker. My understanding, yeah, go ahead, let's do that.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I do think that committees might be in a better position to speak to this matter. I am aware that there was a meeting on this and we did brief the committee. In fact, I think I'm just being told here that committees is in fact ready to speak to this. So Deputy Speaker, if I may hand over to Ms. Giba to respond. Thank you very much.
Okay, Ms. Giba.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker, and a very good morning to all the members and my colleagues. Yes, indeed, Deputy Speaker, the matter was since referred to the Portfolio Committee on Communication for further consideration. In my report, I was going to report that the committee met and the committee resolved that they will rather find further legal advice on the matter and they will report on a specific date by when they will be finalizing the matter. This is as far as the information that we have gotten from the committee, Deputy Speaker. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you very much. Honorable members, I think we have exhausted matters of IC. Let's move to the next item. Please go ahead with the bill support. Go ahead, ma'am. Ms. Kiba, you have to unmute. You have to unmute. Unmute. We can't read your lips and hear you.
Right. Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker.
That's better.
Thank you. Sorry, I think there was a challenge from my side. I apologize for that, Deputy Speaker. With your permission, Deputy Speaker, please allow me to only focus on 4 slides in my presentation where there are updates presented, and the rest of the slides on this report, they remain the same as we have previously reported. My report will start on slide number 3 and move to slide number 14, 18, and the last reporting slide will be slide number 20. On slide number 3, we wish to report that the International Crimes Bill before the Peace on Justice and Correctional Services has been withdrawn in accordance with Assembly Rule 334. Then the next reporting slide will be slide number 14. On this slide, we also...
Can we just do this? You know, you lawyers are out of order. What's Rule 334 saying? Just tell us.
Yes, in terms of this rule, Rule 334 of the National Assembly indicates that a person in charge of the bill introduced in the Assembly may withdraw the bill at any time before the second reading of the bill is decided. So that is what that bill basically indicates. So that is what happened with the withdrawal of the International Crimes Bill.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. Yes, as we proceed to slide number 14, on this slide, we are reporting that this matter, the Committee on Peace on Justice and Correctional Services intends to finalize the Constitution 18th Amendment Bill by tomorrow. Then the next reporting slide will be slide 18. On this slide, I've already reported, Deputy Speaker, that the committee is seeking further legal advice on the statutory appointment on the SABC, and they will advise on the further date for consideration of the SABC appointments, as well as the matter before PC on Public Service on the Public Service Commissioner vacancy that they are filling. They have not finalized their work on it as they have planned, but they will advise us on further dates for the finalization of that matter. Lastly, Deputy Speaker, the ad hoc committee for floods, we have received names of members to constitute the committee, and we are still awaiting more names for the finalization of this process, so that we can indicate the date of the first meeting of this committee. And that concludes my report, Deputy Speaker. Thank you very much.
Which parties are not giving names and why?
I can safely say, Deputy Speaker, we have received names from the DA, from the IFP, the ATM, the FF Plus, as well as the UTM. Outstanding is the ANC plus the EFF. Thank you very much.
No, let's ask those parties to really get their boots together and provide names. Otherwise, they are delaying meetings taking place that ought to be taking place. All right, it's okay. Thank you very much, ma'am. Can we move to the next, the bills report?
Deputy Speaker, morning. Is Mkalipi?
Yes, ma'am. Can I ask you, we do the next one and then we come back to discuss this one, if you don't mind.
All right.
Is that okay? All right. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Good morning, Honorable Deputy Speaker and honorable members and colleagues.
Good morning.
This morning, Deputy Speaker, we will have two reports from the Constitutional and Legal Service Office. I will deliver the first report from the Bills Office Unit, and my colleague, Advocate Van der Merwe from Legal Services, will deal with the report on Constitutional Court judgments. In our report, we have updates on slide 2. The House passed the Prevention of Hate Crimes and the Housing Consumer Bill on Tuesday, and the bills were transmitted to the NCOP for concurrence. Currently, Deputy Speaker, there are 6 bills on the order paper. 3 of those are for second reading and 3 of those are for first reading. And there are 28 bills on the list of bills being considered by committees. As my colleague, Ms. Giba, has already indicated that the International Crimes Bill, B37 of 2017, has been withdrawn. So the bill will be removed from the list as a result of the withdrawal. So the withdrawal was also announced on the ATC on the 10th of March. And with your permission, Honorable Deputy Speaker, I will hand over to my colleague to give her report.
Please go ahead, colleague.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. In respect of Constitutional Court judgments where there are suspended orders, we also circulated a report that deals with all the judgments, but I would like to give feedback on 3 matters specifically. The first one we've already discussed, that is the Electoral Amendment Bill that amends the Electoral Act. The bill was passed by both houses and it has been sent to the President for assent. And as we've now heard this morning, the Presidency has received a number of objections and they are considering those before acting on that request for assent. The next matter I want to discuss is dealing with the Maintenance of Surviving Spouses Act and the Interstate Succession Act. This is a matter where the suspensive order will lapse 29 June of this year. However, the Constitutional Court did provide read-in provisions. It extended some of the definitions that are affected, and in the Interstate Succession Act, it made specific provision for a partner in a in a relationship where there is not a marriage. So there is a provision made for that. However, yesterday, and this is why I'm reporting back on this matter, the Portfolio Committee on Justice and Correctional Services considered the Maintenance Amendment Bill, which is a private member's bill introduced by Mr. Hendricks. And in this presentation, where the department was supposed to respond to the bill, and we then heard that the South African Law Reform Commission is preparing a report that will make final recommendations on the review of the Maintenance Act. This means that, the report is only scheduled to be done by June 2023. Now, this to me means that we will not be making that suspended order deadline. However, like I said, there's not a gap in the law. There is a read-in provided. So it is not something that should be of concern, but I did want to highlight to this committee that fact. And maybe just to give further feedback on that bill, the Portfolio Committee recommended that at this point in time, the private members bill is postponed until June so that we can see what the report of the South African Law Reform Commission says. And they also asked the department to work with Mr. Hendricks. If I can go to the next slide, please. The next matter deals with the Correctional Services Act. On this matter, we had to last year request the court for an extension of the deadline, and it was extended to the 2nd of December of this year. Now, the challenge on this matter was that it is necessary to set up an entity, an independent entity for the Judicial Inspectorate for Correctional Services. And the challenge was with the Department of Finance and how the structure and governance and budget of this entity will work. So that has been quite a significant challenge on this, but we have now received confirmation from the Department of Correctional Services that they have met with the Department of Finance and they've agreed to what the governance and structure of the Judicial Inspectorate will be. So they are now proceeding with the bill. They are, in fact, I've already received some emails about the cabinet process having started. So that bill, it seems they are targeting beginning of May. So that is something for the Portfolio Committee on Justice to keep in mind. And we have already alerted the support staff there to keep that in mind for programming purposes. And then also in a parallel process to the legislative side, the department will continue with the setup of the inspectorate as an independent body. Thank you, Deputy Speaker. That's all from us.
Thank you. Honorable members, it's your turn now to comment. Honorable Mkhalipe, shall we start with you?
Yes, thanks, Deputy Speaker. I wanted to check with Ms. Giba in terms of the ad hoc committee, the floods one, that we need to send names, because I think Chief Whip of the IFP did raise this issue last week when this matter was here in the PC. We thought that automatically the people who were served in the ad hoc committee is the very same people. So can we be taken through the process again, Deputy Speaker?
All right, please advise the member whether the same people or they need to be refreshed. Ms. Kiba?
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I think in the last meeting, Mr. Kaso did also advise that this was a new committee. The last one passed its deadline and reported, and therefore this was a new committee. So it was up to the parties, therefore, to decide whether they are going to use the same names to submit for this new ad hoc committee. So that is why we have written to all the parties requesting names. So it's up to the parties to use the same names, therefore, for the ad hoc committee as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Any other comment?
Yes, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Go ahead, Khanif.
Deputy Speaker, I know that the Speaker's office are very concerned that Parliament must meet the deadlines of the Constitutional Court orders. I am concerned that with regard to the Divorce Act, which the Constitutional Court has declared unconstitutional, and it has made a unique judgment that at the end of June 2024, if the Divorce Act is not amended, then that Divorce Act falls away, or the rights of those people disadvantaged falls away. And that is very serious. And why I'm bringing it to your attention, Deputy Speaker, is that absolutely no work has been done by government on these amendments, except for the private members' bill that I was assisted with by the parliamentary legislative drafting team. And that bill is going to have its first reading today. And it looks like the government is stalling the implementation of the Constitutional Court order. Where it is now is that the cabinet has asked that the two ministers meet to decide whether the Divorce Act falls under Home Affairs or whether it falls under Department of Justice. You can't mess around with Constitutional Court judgments, and I feel that, you must put your foot down, Deputy Speaker.
It's already down, Daddy. You can be sure of that. And but thankfully, this is why the advocate reporting earlier on spoke about a revision for reading into the law in the event that deadline is not met. That revision is intended to remedy the problem you are partly talking about. But we agree that the process is now underway, should be fast-tracked so that we meet the deadline. That meeting can take ages and so it should happen urgently so that there is proper management of that process. The leader of government business is here, is listening to us. We'll urge them to operate faster than they are doing. Thank you very much. Any other comments, honorable members? Okay, no comment. Let's proceed to the next item. There is I think it's the program.
Mr. Speaker, my hand is up.
Okay, go ahead and speak.
I wanted to indicate that the legal services have said that in the judgment, there is something written to it when the deadline arrives. There was a rider. So you can't put your foot down.
No, I hope I did expressly said that, if you listen to me. I spoke about the reading in. That's what that revision means. That it is when the court.
Thanks, Deputy Speaker.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. Let's move programming. Is the programming week here?
Yes, Honorable Speaker. Good morning, Honorable Deputy Speaker and colleagues and everybody on the platform.
Good morning.
Honorable Speaker, good morning. I just would like to start with say one. Yes, indeed, the draft program was also presented before the Chiefs Forum as a consultative body, which is a normal process. Two is that nothing has changed in the program, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members. So allow me not to go through the program, only to highlight issues that we think they are important, which are that today it's a mini plenary sitting. Next week on the 22nd will be the consideration of the vote of no confidence to the Honorable Speaker, followed by the debate. The other matter which is the third point, is the matter that has been discussed also, but I'll ask Mr. Banga to talk to it in reference to the establishment of the ad hoc committee on Pala matter, which requests a decision thereof, which will be a declaration. He will talk to that. And other than that, Honorable Speaker, is that the House will adjourn, will rise for a constituent period from the 3rd to the 17th of April, as well as I think that's it, Honorable Speaker, but I'll come back. I think there's something that I'm missing, but I'll come back when there's a need of to respond to some questions, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much.
Deputy Speaker. Thank you very much, Honorable Programming Week. Any comments? Let's hear your partner speak there in the presentation?
Good morning, Deputy Speaker and members.
Good morning.
I was hoping that my colleague, Mr. Mahlangu, will speak to this, but I would just like to indicate that the meeting of the Chief Whips Forum that met yesterday was informed that
No, Mr. Honorable Deputy Speaker, may I come in? Please, in the absence of Mr. Kaso, in the absence of Mr. Kaso, without undermining Mr. Mbanga, Mr. Mahlangu, I would request he does that instead of Mr. Mbanga, because I can see that I'm flouting the administration protocol. My apology on that.
No, don't worry about protocol in the meeting that I chair. If he's been asked to speak and he's speaking, let him finish. They'll deal with protocol afterwards. He's here, he should have stood up to speak if he felt that he's been undermined. You are not undermining them. It's okay. Let him proceed. Go ahead, that unless Mr. Mahlangu has new information and so on. Thank you. Go ahead, Mbanga.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Speaker. Just to indicate that the request that came from the Chief Whip of the Opposition for scheduling of the ad hoc committee on the Palapala matter is now proposed for the 22nd of March, that is next week, Deputy Chief Whip at the City Hall. The Chief Whips Forum yesterday was informed that this matter would be scheduled for the 28th of March, but there has been a decision that it should rather be scheduled for next week, because the week of the 28th is reserved for committees and oversight. Thanks, Chairperson.
All right, no, thank you very much. Thank you, and Dimbanga. Next time you must relax so that you name us properly. Any comment on the programming so far? Now that the changes have been indicated. No comment. Let me see. Oh, okay. Honorable Mkalipi, Honorable Kwahube, Honorable Papo, in that order.
And Abulela Deputy Speaker, is it in manje date here, the motion? Because in the chief is
22.
22. As well.
Because
yes.
The 28th clashes with the chairperson's workshop that has long been planned. So that's the reason they returned it to 22. Okay. Are you okay, man? Thank you. All right, let's hear Honorable Gwahube.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Yes, I
make it clear. I think.
Sorry?
Yes, Deputy Speaker. Yes, yeah, there's a matter that I would like to raise under programming, which also, in terms of the minister.
We'll come back to you. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, this matter, Deputy Speaker, has been here to this forum, and it seems as if there is no progress in terms of the matter. Even during yesterday, during the question and answers to the ministers, there was some disturbing from the deputy.
You are cutting off, man. We don't hear you. Honorable Mukalipi, are you on the line? Okay, she'll come back. Let's hear you, Honorable Bahube.
Thanks, Deputy Speaker. Yeah, so I've received the report about the move of the date of the motion, and our view is simply that as long as we're able to consider the matter before we rise, we are in support of the move to have it discussed and decided on in Parliament on the 22nd. Thank you. I just wanted to put that on the record.
Honorable Hugo, you could have just said Elam Lelo. That's okay. All right.
Elam leyo ke Deputy Speaker.
That's all. Thank you very much. Brevity is very crucial for meetings we should chair all the time. Yeah, thank you very much. Honorable Mukalipi, are you back?
Yes, Deputy Speaker. My network was failing me. That's why we have to support the national shutdown on the 20th of March. No, I was saying.
Don't support it.
Don't put us there. Don't as far it in.
Order.
Can I be protected as well? Can I be protected? Deputy Speaker, we are sharing the meeting. Deputy Speaker, we are sharing the meeting. You must be sober. You must also protect myself. You can't be the first one to say no. Please.
No, I am. You must be sober. Clearly, you are not sober because we introduced.
No, it's you. You must sober.
Stop it, Honorable Mukalipi. Stop it.
Deputy Speaker, my point was that, Deputy Speaker, I'm back on the point that I was making earlier on, and then the national shutdown is going to take place on the 20th because of the load shedding. But I'm saying, Deputy Speaker, there is a matter of ministers and deputy ministers who does not take Parliament very serious. And we even speak about this matter, I think last week and the week before. The Speaker even spoke about it at some point at a National Assembly, but it does not seem as if there's a progress in this matter. Even yesterday, there was a deputy minister of women and children and people with disability who just left the house on the eve of her question to take place. And the whipper of the ANC couldn't get a response to tell us what is happening. We had to rearrange the question, the order paper, in order to accommodate her while she left the house. The second matter was a deputy minister who failed to answer a simple question on the platform, on the virtual platform. And she said, literally, I don't have answers. Even the IFP raised that matter when another deputy minister who stood up in the house and said, no, I can't answer that particular question. So Deputy Minister, I'm appealing once more again to say that the question and answer session must be taken serious because it's one of the most important mechanisms that the executive must account to Parliament. Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. We'll see you on Monday on the national shutdown because all of us were affected by the load shedding.
Honorable Mukalipi, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Honorable Papu.
Just for the record, I heard Mr. Mbanga saying that the DA want the scheduling of the ad hoc committee. You see, I think it's the resolution. It's not the scheduling of the ad hoc committee. I was just, because this is a public meeting, I just wanted that to be corrected because it's a resolution and declaration because we can't schedule an ad hoc committee in a sitting.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, sir. Honorable members, are you done, Honorable Papu? We go till in that.
Yes, and that the member Mukalipi is out of order to hijack the NAPC.
Yeah, thank you very much. Honorable members, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. Honorable Mashangu, you want to say something?
Deputy Speaker, yes, my apologies. I just wanted to ask if the programming whip would like to explain the voting process, especially on the DA motion on Tuesday, because we won't have another opportunity for another meeting to do that. On Wednesday, I mean, yes.
Yeah, okay, it was determined in advance anyway. Go ahead, Honorable Programming Whip. Honorable Soma.
She's sleeping as always.
Mkalipi, please, man, don't do that.
Order.
Honorable Soma.
Deputy Speaker,
Yes.
are you not going to comment on the issue raised about the ministers and deputy ministers?
No, you did correctly. You raised it here. It will be attended to. That's all that needs to be done, because what else is there to add to it? Because you have raised it, and it's your right to do so. Honorable members, the voting process has not been determined to be in any other way except open. So that's what it will be. I think the programming whip is not here. It will be announced as such when the matter gets to the table. Thank you. Thank you, honorable members. The meeting is now adjourned.